First off, I want to say Shabbat Shalom, Assalamu Alaikum, peace and blessings, all meaning the same in unity. Kodash, 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 Adonai, Elohim, Sabayah, meaning holy, 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 Lord of hosts, because we are the hosts. He, Vahe, masculine, feminine, as a collective whole, creating the tetragrammaton. In the beginning, Elohim said, let us create them in our image. In the beginning, meaning Genesis, translated as the generations of Isis. In Hebrew, meaning Bereshith. As above, so below, where you get your Star of David. Two inverted triangles. The macroprosophus above, and we are the microprosophus below, the microorganism, the host, the creation, the temples inhabited by the Kodesh spirits of the Most High. So today we're going to talk about constellations and also what they might mean in Pacific times. How will you know the signs of our second coming? You will know by the signs and the wonders. And a lot of people say they don't celebrate birthdays because they say that it's something wicked, because that's how they were taught to perceive things to be in religious institutions, which are the traditions of men, which we should not follow. We are spiritual people, you know. So I'm going to start off with this, about Job. Remember in the book of Job, he said that he cursed the day he was born because the trials and tribulations that he was going through, but he would not curse the Most High, but he did the day he was born, because there is a significance in the day under Pacific planetary alignments and constellations. So we're going to start off with this. Out of the 6th and 7th book of Moses, my book is falling apart. It's all over here because I've been doing a lot of work in a lot of different books. But I'm going to start off with this. Job cursed his constellation, since the fate of man is fit beforehand by the constellation. No injury can take effect upon him, neither can an accidental death come upon him. If therefore a man meets serpents or scorpions by which he is attacked, if he destroys them, then let him be assured that they were predestined to be destroyed by him, although he may regard the act as a miracle. Beings who are born under the same constellation, meaning zodiac, stand in close relation and magical sympathy with each other. The Talmud even sets up a problem from the premises as to whether such persons have the same marks as moles, for instance. Conjunction of planet, eclipses of the sun and moon exercise a great influence upon vegetables and upon man. Samuel teaches when the spring equinox happened upon the hour of Jupiter, the strength of the fruit tree will be broken. Should the winter solstice fall upon the hour of Jupiter, then the grain will wither. But with this new moon must also fall upon the hour of Jupiter or the moon. The first hour of Saturday evening between 6 and 7 o'clock is that of Mercury. The second is that of the moon. The third is that of Saturn. The fourth, that of Jupiter. The fifth, that of Mars. The sixth, that of the Sun. The seventh, that of Venus. The eighth hour, again, is that of Mercury, etc. The rabbis teach that an eclipse of the sun is an evil sign for all people. Now let's hold that. Remember, I always stress, because only certain people know in this timeline the signs and the wonders because they've been following and they've been studying until they show themselves approved. 2017 is when we first had the first total eclipse, which another one comes 7 years after that in 2024. We know every 7 years is a Jubilee cycle. So in 24, these numbers are significant because 24 is symbolic to 24 hours in a day. The 24 elders that are right here on my wall and sit upon the throne, and which are the Elohim. And these numbers don't make. You see, 2017 start with a 7. 7 is a divine number. 24, it goes into divine numbers. This is how the Most High works with numbers. August 2017, we had the eclipse. September of 2017, we had the Revelation 12 constellation appear over the skies. And in the 10th month of 2017, we had the space rock Oumuamua that entered the atmosphere, which is a bioangelic satellite, because they're about to make their grand entrance very soon. Rumors of wars, nations rising against nation, famines, earthquakes, pestilence, meaning earthquakes in diverse places, meaning weather in places it doesn't normally happen because we are in the process now of the poles shifting. Why are the poles shifting? Due to coronal mass ejection coming from the sun, which is photon plasma energy, which has just the same way it has effect on vegetation, it also has an effect on our DNA and the energy upon the planet. I did a video before how it wakes up volcanoes, it causes earthquakes, it causes tornadoes. So that is Mother Nature, which is in a Chokmah, Mother Wisdom, which is the feminine energy, which means judgment. And it will tell you that in the Kabbalah Unveiled. That's where I get the Yah, He, Ba, He, masculine, feminine, feminine. It's very key, that an eclipse of the sun is an evil sign for all people. It is as if a king prepared a feast for his subjects and placed before them a brilliant light. Should he be hungry with his subjects, however, he commands his servants to remove light in order that they might be in darkness. Rabbi, meaning teacher, Mir taught that eclipses of heavenly bodies were an evil sign for the Israelites, especially because they were accustomed to misfortune. They were accustomed to misfortune because they were in and out of captivities all throughout the Bible, all the way to this end time right now, the last captivity, which was talked about in Genesis 15, and he said, your descendants, but after that, that nation shall I judge, and they will leave with great substance. So, but just listen, bear with me right now, because I'm going to connect things together for you. For the Israelites, especially because they were accustomed to misfortune. If the master entered the school with a rod in his hand, who is afraid? Only he who receives daily punishment. The rabbi teach that the eclipse of the sun is an evil sign also for the rest of the nations, and an eclipse of the moon for the Israelites, for they reckon their time from the moon, and other nations from the sun. If the eclipse is on the east, it is an evil omen for the inhabitants of the east. If it eclipses in the west during heavens, then it is an evil omen for the inhabitants of the west. We are here, right here in the western hemisphere, which is Mystery Babylon, the whore that sitteth upon many waters. Every nation got drunk off her wine and her substance. Spiritual Sodom in Egypt. Sodom meaning these, the stuff that they got going on right now that they have integrated with this gentrification. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And also Egypt. Egypt is the Greek word meaning Egyptos, meaning the house of bondage, where people were in captivity at a time. So he's giving you all the attributes, just like the different names of the Most High are attributes and dignities and personalities of him. So that's why the Bible is written in metaphors, allegories, and figurative language. He's giving you a description of the attributes of that nation, which he is talking about. Mystery Babylon, which is the new Babylon, which was a great civilization like the old one. So, yeah, for the inhabitants of the West. So, in 2024, like I said, another eclipse is coming to create an X across Mystery Babylon. So, as you see right here, if in the middle of the firmament, it is a bad sign for all the inhabitants of the earth. When the sun appears blood red, it pretends war, which we're seeing right now in these rumors of wars and nations rising against nations. If the sun has a grayish appearance, it is a sign of a famine. Famines, pestilence. Famine's going to come from global sanctions. They're going to come from all these food plants burning down. They're going to come from shipping containers being left off the coast and not maneuvering in and out like they normally would. Famines are going to also come from, the burning of, like I said, the burning of crops, because a couple years ago, as you know, they were paying people off to burn their crops. So, as well as mystery food plants just mysteriously burning down. A lot of blockages due to the war right now, but it's all going to link together. It's all happening in this period for a specific reason and time. When an eclipse occurs at sundown, it is a sign that the judgment is yet far off. If at sunrise, it is an omen of the near approach of the judgment. According to others, these omens signify the reverse of what is stated above. General calamity never overtakes a people in which their heavenly prince, protecting spirit, does not suffer defeat with them. If, however, Israel walks accordingly to the will of God, it will have nothing to fear of this kind, which is the Great Awakening. This is everybody's coming back to the law, statutes, and commandments and remembering the ways of their forefathers. So they will have nothing to worry about, because that is what ushers in that feminine energy, which is the judgment for the nations. Like he said in Genesis 15, your descendants will be a stranger in a foreign land for 400 years. And after that, that nation shall I judge, and your descendants will come out with great substance. So, according to the will of God, it will have nothing to fear of this kind. The rabbi teaches further, on account of sin, the sun will be darkened when the presiding judge dies and is not properly mourned. When a young woman in a city who is engaged cries in vain for help, when violence is offered to her, and on account of the simultaneous murder of two brothers, the other heavenly lights will be darkened on account of the making of counterfeit money, on account of false witness. Thou shalt not bear false witness. When forcible possession is taken of a stranger property, or when fruit trees are unnecessarily cut down. So when a stranger's property is taken, that's why the Most High said, "Thee that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. Thee that killeth with the sword shall be killed with the sword." It says, any man that takes another one's land and blood unlawfully, they will surely be put to death. So it's karma. Karma is the law of cause and effect. So everything that comes around goes around, and what you reap, you will sow. So after this 400-year period, this is what, these oppressors, the people in high and wicked places and principalities and rulers of darkness of this time are going to face. And he also tells you about another prophecy, how they will run and hide in the cliffs of the rocks until the rocks to fall on them to hide them from him that cometh from up there. All right, here. Samuel teaches that the time for blessings is Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday. No man should allow himself to be bled on Monday or Thursday, for Mars says, only he who can enjoy the savings of his parents should be bled on Monday and on Thursday, because on both these days the earthly and the heavenly courts are in session. On Tuesday, a man should not be bled, because on this day Mars rules the hours. Ratch explains that in the following manner: Mars has the supervision over war planes. This is the following manner: Mars has the supervision over wars, pestilence, and all kinds of accidents. Hallelujah. The paired exact number is likewise an ominous omen, since with it the demons have power and accidents are imminent. The order of the planets is Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, the Sun, Venus, Mercury, the Moon. The order of hours which they rule begin with the creation of the heavenly lights, namely in the first hour, Wednesday, with us between 6 and 7 o'clock. In this hour, Saturn rules, and the second, Jupiter, and the third, Mars, etc. Thus, 7 planets in 7 hours. This cycle continues forever. According to this order, we find that planets rule in the first hour of each night. Rapid traveling impairs the sight of the eyes. All right, this is going into the magical cures and remedies right now. All right, so it says traveling impairs the sight of the eyes, but it may be restored by uttering the blessing of consecration of the Sabbath on Friday evening. Remember, the Messiah Hamashiach, he healed a blind person's eyes. So this is what it's telling you. Rapid traveling impairs the sight of the eyes, but it may be restored by uttering the blessings of the consecration of the Sabbath on Friday evening. Blindness. Against blindness at night, take a string made out of hair of an animal, tie one end of it to the foot of the patient and the other end to the foot of the dog, and then let the children make a noise behind the dog and say, hold the dog, fool the rock. Then take 7 pieces of meat from 7 different houses and let the inmates of each house hang a piece of the meat on the doorpost of the patient. The dog must eat this meat in an open place. Then let the patient unbind the hairline and let someone say, night blindness of such and such, leave and son of R, and infuriate the pupils of the dog. But if you remember in Egypt, when the Most High sent the judgment over them, he told them to use, a lamb's blood and wipe it over the doorway, so he would know who's who and what, and that's how to be protected. The same as is wearing fringes; it marks you. Against day blindness, take 7 pieces of spleen from 7 heifers and lay them upon the vessel used by the physician to get the blood when bleeding the patient. The patient must be seated in a chamber. A man must be stationed on the outside who must say, blind one, I give to me that I may eat. The patient answers, how can I open? Come and eat. After eating, he must break the plate, or he will himself become blind. All right, now mind power. It's telling you about mind power. Rab says the bird of the vineyard mentioned in the Mishnah is found on the palm tree having a single bark. It is employed as a means to strengthen the mind. The right half of it must be eaten, and the left half of it must be preserved in a copper tube, which must be sealed with 60 seals with wax, putty, earth, etc., and hung upon the left arm. Upon this, a man obtains clearer ideas and is enabled to comprehend matters with more ease. Afterwards, the other half should also be eaten, for if this be neglected, what has been learned will soon be forgotten. The soft boiled egg. Samuel says, a slave that knows how to prepare a soft boiled egg is worth $1,000. The egg must be handled thousands of times in warm as well as in cold water until it becomes so small that it can be swallowed with a single effort. Whatever disease may be in the abodum will be known to the physician through the decreasing egg, and he will at once know what remedy to prescribe. For fever, the nurse of Samuel gave him the following remedies against the daily fever. Take a new silver coin and a piece of salt of equal weight and carry both over the pit of the heart attached to a string. This is something that I actually performed myself on someone and it actually worked. Or take a seat on a crossroad, and as soon you observe a large and carrying something, tear her up and place her in a copper tube. Close the opening with lead and seal it with 60 seals. Shake the tube and hand upon your body and say to the ant, thy burden upon me and my burden upon thee. Or take a new earthen picking, go to a spring and say, spring, spring. See, it tells you to talk to nature, talk to the trees, talk to the elements, because the elements help you. That's what natural magneticism is, mastering the elements, called magic. Sorcery and demonology is a whole nother thing. It's when you use demons to do your bidding. But wisdom means the highest heights of magic, basically understanding how the elements work. That's what wisdom is. That's why Solomon was one of the wisest people on the planet. And you'll learn a lot of this stuff in the Greater and Lesser Keys of Solomon, which I have right there. You know? It gets deep. It gets deeper and deeper. In order for no weapon formed against you to prosper, you have to understand how the workers of iniquity work. All right. It says, or take a new earthen picking, go to a spring and say, spring, spring, lend me a picking full of water for the road that happens to me, then swing the picking full of water 7 times around. See, it says 7 times around your head. Throw it backwards and say, spring, spring, take the water you gave me, for the way that happened to me came in his day and departed in his day. Rabbi Hannah says, for fever reoccurring every 3 days, take 7 different grapes from 7 different grapevines, 7 chips from 7 joists, 7 nails from 7 bridges, 7 small quantities of ashes from 7 stoves, 7 bits of earth from 7 holes in the ground, 7 pieces of pitch from 7 chips, 7 grains of cunning, which is a herb, 7 hairs out of the beard of an old dog. Bind these all together and carry them with a string upon the nape of the neck. Rabbi Jacana says, for the burning fever, take a knife that is made entirely of iron. Go to a thorn bush and tie a hairline to it. On the first day, make a notch in it and say, and there appeared upon him an angel of God and a flame of fire out of the bush. The next day, another incantation and said, then God saw that he approached in order to see, etc. The following day, make another indentation and say, come nigh, etc. Then cut the thorn off near the ground and say, O thorn bush, I trust in thee. You're saying that to the thorn bush because the Most High is in all things. He is works through the elements of nature. Hallelujah, Salah, Shabbat Shalom. That's another quick video. I'm out. Thank you for watching. God bless you.